Hello everyone, I am Tobias the Jeweler, and today I'm making an amethyst pendant. In this first section, we're just going to do some ingot making. I did not record the silver, but you will get to see me pour gold a couple of times because I messed the first one up a little bit. Sorry about the audio quality on this video, guys. I'm using a Blue Yeti from a bajillion years ago. Hopefully, eventually, I'll be able to afford a new microphone, but for now, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Alright, so right around here, you're going to see gold fall out of the crucible. That was my mistake, and I'm going to have to run it back for a second half to make sure that that is also an ingot format. Alright, so you're going to notice that this pour goes a lot better. Here are the results. Next, we are going to turn our silver ingot into wire through a process of annealing and milling. Holy facial expressions, is this guy mewing? I only have a half round mill, so my wire making method is more complicated than it has to be. Eventually, I'll get a full round mill, but for now, this is the way that it's got to be. I know my rolling mill is a little wobbly. There's a screw that I need to tighten, and I'm just too lazy to do it. Eventually, your metal is going to become work hardened and you have to anneal it, which is essentially heating it up to reduce the surface tension, and that makes it easier to work with. I had to remove audio on this clip for copyright reasons, but here I'm making a pull tab so I can start running this through a draw plate. In lieu of copyright audio, allow me to try my hand at singing for you. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Here you can see that a draw tab is basically just tapering the end of the wire a little bit so that it fits through the draw plate, but the rest of the wire doesn't. So this is a draw plate. It is basically a series of gradually smaller holes that make the wire thinner and longer. Make sure you anneal every couple of pulls so that you don't break or crack your wire. Eventually, I had a nice bit of wire and I wrapped it around the handle of my oval mandrel to make a couple of loops that we are going to turn into the base of the stone setting. Check to make sure the seam isn't too gapped up or the solder won't flow right. This one was gapped, so I had to file it flush. If you're wondering what that noise is in the background, it's two space heaters so I don't freeze to death in my garage. Anyway, here's that gap all nice and flush now. We need to solder our jump rings closed, but first, don't forget the flux. Yay, more fire! Now we get to solder our massive jump rings closed. Well, our solder flowed easily enough. Now to use the rest of our silver wire to make the setting claws. Bang! That was easy. Here, I'm just making our jump rings oval. If I had a big enough oval mandrel, I'd use it, but this will have to do. And here's what we're left with after all that. Bah! Surprise fit change, baby! Now, let's solder our setting together.
You know what? Neat. And now I just need to connect.
Holy, that was a long clip. I don't blame you for hitting fast forward. Anyway, here's the result. Now that we've assembled our setting, it's time to clean off the excess solder. Alrighty, boom! Solder has now been cleaned, and it is time to bend our claws into setting position. Nah, I'm playing. Y'all can just listen to the heater. Alright, and I'm just going to quickly remove the wires from the inside of the setting, and done. Alrighty, so these prongs are absolutely ginormous, so what we're going to do is we're going to measure them a little bit above where we want them to be when we set the stone, but way shorter than this, and then just snip them off with your wire cutters. Wire cutters have a bit of a rough cut, so here we're just going to file down the prongs until they are nice and circular again instead of clamped off, and we'll go from there. My phone died in the middle of filming, and I forgot to document the bail, but it's a pretty standard one, so if you're curious, look it up or I can make a tutorial. Anyway, here's what it looks like. Here, I'm just soldering the bail to the setting, nothing too crazy, but our piece is starting to come along nicely. It's starting to come together. This is great news, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Wow, another long clip. Geez, somebody stop this guy. Anyway, here's our pendant with the bail attached. Here I'm pre-polishing the setting with a pink wheel to prepare to set the stone. And boom, what do you know? It shines like the sun. Here, I'm just making sure everything looks right and test fitting the stone to make sure that it's actually going to sit where I want it to sit when I do end up setting it. Here, we're just going to refine our prongs, shorten them, and just make sure they're all cleaned up so that when I set the stone, they're sitting in the right spot, they're not too long, they're not too short, and they hold the stone properly. My phone died yet again during recording, so I didn't get most of me setting the stone, but here is the end of the process when it was finally sitting in place and not moving around and looking all nice. Alrighty, and here is post-polishing, making sure Shorty's all nice and shiny, making it look all pretty, making it gleam, making it sparkle, and all of those other synonyms for looking polished. I started out here with my pink wheel and eventually moved on to red rouge to get that final mirror finish. I've been referring to that wheel as pink throughout this video, but as I'm watching it back, I realize that it is definitely more of a black wheel now, just from the amount I've used it. Geez, I gotta get a new one. Now we just gotta hit it with a polishing cloth and we are good to go. I would use a steamer, but I don't have one, so instead I use hot water and a very soft bristle toothbrush to clean out all of the debris. And here's your final product. I might be a little biased, but I think that it looks fantastic. Anyway, have a good one, guys.